Hey there, it's Paul Kirch, host and founder of Boss Academy Radio. I do this little series of talks where I call it Boss Academy Transformations because I think to transform as an entrepreneur, you need to really focus on that internal stuff, the body, the mind, the spirit. How do you stay focused? How do you keep moving forward? And one of the things I find time and time again when I interview people out there that are really successful is a common thread consistently across these multimillionaires and people that are just achieving amazing things. And that's that they all have built systems into their process. So we're going to talk a little bit about systems. Now, yesterday I launched an interview with Harneet Bala, and I bring this up because he actually uses systems in helping build his funnels. And this was an interview, man, it was like drinking from a fire hose. Just idea after idea. I don't care if you're a newbie to funnels or if you're experienced, you're going to gain something from his talk. But systematizing the funnel building process, it's critical. But when I think about systems don't have to be this elaborate, drawn-out thing. They can be as simple as checklists. Now, I use checklists all the time for my podcast show. I want to make sure that my recording equipment is set properly because in post-editing, if I can have my audio on one channel and my interviewee on another channel, it allows me to edit separately and make sure that the show content is so much cleaner. So I make sure that my equipment is set up properly. So I go through a checklist and say, okay, so I turn on my equipment, I have my microphone channel set to the left, I have my interviewee set to the right, I have it set at these levels. I go through all these processes to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. Because when I don't, in times that I haven't, the editing process on the back end can be a nightmare, and it wastes so much time. So we've made this process really efficient. But going through a checklist makes sure that nothing slips through the cracks. I use my equipment for other stuff, like these videos and some other recordings that I do. And so I have to make sure that every time, whatever I'm doing, I go through the proper checklist to make sure that it's set the way that it should be. It's just something that simplified my life. And when I started hearing all these experts talk about how if you don't have systems, if you don't have processes in place that are repeatable, you get yourself in trouble. And I've seen it. I mean, I think about the way I used to do proposals. I used to do proposals custom by hand. Every time I did a proposal for somebody, it was a long, drawn-out process. It might be hours. It might literally be days of pulling stuff together. And I started to really think, is this the way I want to do this? So I started to figure out, okay, these are the offerings, and I'm going to create repositories where I store these proposal pieces that I can just pull from, and I can edit as needed be, so I can put a proposal together so much faster. And I go through a process that makes sure that there's a system flow to it. Okay, so I need to gather these pieces of information. I need to know this about the client before I can even create the proposal. Now I start to pull the pieces together. And because I've got a process in place that I call a system, it's so much more streamlined. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some specific types of systems, some things that I leverage. But I just want to plant the seed today because you need to start thinking about in your own business. What are you systematizing? As an entrepreneur, you get stuff thrown at you all over the place. It's coming at you from different angles. And if you don't have some systems in place, when you're distracted, when you're busy, you're going to let things slip through the cracks. We can't remember it all. I remember a time when I used to remember 20 to 30 phone numbers. I'd call a friend without even thinking of it. And I still have some of those numbers memorized, but for the most part, I got away from that because my life is just too complicated for that. So now my phone has all the phone numbers in it I need, and if my phone gets lost or broken, I have those on my computer. So I never lose them. I don't need to remember them. That allows me to free up my mind to do other things. As an entrepreneur, if you don't start to free yourself up, it's going to be impossible for you to scale your business. And what about getting support, getting help? Well, if you don't have systems in place, how do you train somebody to do what you do? You can't. So creating systems allows you to do that. It held me back for the longest time, but I will tell you, it is the secret to scale. It is the secret to repeatable experience for your buyers. And it is the secret to coming across as much more professional than if you ever let something slip through the cracks. I'm not saying accidents don't still happen. Of course they can, but I minimize that, and you should too. So I want you to start thinking about your own business. Are there areas that you're relying too much on memory? You're relying too much on habit. when you should be creating a system, whether it be a checklist, a flow chart, a mind map, something that allows you a process to walk through and make sure you don't let anything slip. And I'm talking about getting down to the granular level, the smallest detail. Don't overlook it. Put it on there and make sure you do it. It's going to help you in ways that you can't even fathom. So we're going to talk more about systems, but I wanted to plant that seed today. I hope this is helpful, and I hope it puts you on a better path of thinking differently about your own business. And if you're already good at using systems, you know you can get better. We all can. So let's take a step back, go back to the drawing board, and start to figure out what are the steps we need to do within everything in our business so that we can either scale it, repeat it, or pass it on to other people that can help support us. Once again, my name is Paul Kirch, host and founder of Boss Academy Radio. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope this has been a very helpful episode. I look forward to sharing more insights with you. Thanks.